Good evening. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. You're watching The Right Stand. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar. 15 states, 93 locations, a pan-India crackdown, and now a fierce backlash. CNN News 18 continues its focus on the PFI, where we comprehensively highlight the inner workings of the outfit in the wake of the pan-India crackdown. As part of our ongoing investigation, we now reveal to you the modus operandi of PFI operations. Sources are now telling us that PFI is now planning a sinister revenge plot which includes lone wolf attacks. And the targets are very, very specific. BJP and RSS leaders as well as officials of government agencies. Now, as per sources, the violence in Kerala on Friday was only a precursor, and we could be seeing many more attacks. Remember, the largest ever crackdown that was conducted by the NIA against the PFI spread across 15 states. It was codenamed Operation Octopus. Joint teams of the National Investigation Agencies and the Enforcement Directorate arrested over 106 PFI members in multiple raids spread across several states on the 22nd of September. The NIA and the ED conducted raids in Andhra Pradesh in 4 locations, in Telangana, in the national capital, Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and many other states. After this crackdown, the PFI on Friday called for a 12-hour shutdown in Kerala, which turned violent in parts of the state. Stones were pelted at various places, including the RSS office in Kannur. 2 police officials were also injured in this incident. Is violence really justified in response to a crackdown? That's the question that we'll be taking to our guests over the next 30 minutes. This is now a CNN News 18 exclusive. Multiple details that we're now picking up of this sinister revenge plot of the PFI in the backdrop of this pan-India crackdown. What are we expecting and what are we picking up? The idea is to disturb public peace and to create communal tensions. We're also now understanding that what are their targets? You retaliate violently, and it is going to be as part of a lone wolf attack. Who are going to be the targets? As I said when I started the show, these are very, very specific. You target the NIA, you target the ED, you target police and government officials, you target BJP and RSS leaders. To be executed by Bayatis. What are Bayatis? This is almost like a Fidain attack. You attack these people who are your targets, and this entire blueprint is just with the chief. That's not all. There are other details that we're picking up as well, where the lens is on the PFI operations. What are top sources now telling CNN News 18? That PFI leaders are involved in plots to destabilize India. Where are the links being traced back to? The links to anti-India elements in Pakistan and Middle East as well. There is fund collection operations that are under the scanner. Once again, focused in the Middle East as well as Pakistan. You have Pakistan and Dubai serving as hubs for Hawala transactions. You have the PFI top brass linked to a drug nexus, and what is the region? Afghanistan, Pakistan. You have the outfit linked to murders of political and religious leaders. Outfit accused of running multiple arms training camps as well. And that's not all. The ex-members of banned outfits Simi as well as Indian Mujahideen as well. So the question that we're discussing over the next 30 minutes, it's now clear that there is a revenge plot in place. But the larger question is violence a justification to this crackdown? You can also use our hashtag and get involved in our debate. Let me also now bring in our guest to take this discussion forward. We have the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Vikram Singh. We have policy analyst Ameema Begum, senior editor Swarajya magazine Tushar Gupta, senior fellow ORS strategic affairs expert Sushant Sareen, and we also have secretary JNK MPLB Ahmed Ayaz. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us. Tushar, let me begin with you. I put out some data when I started the show in terms of the locations, the raids and the arrests. What we are putting out in terms of exclusive details today on CNN News 18 is a retaliation, is a revenge plot of those pan-India crackdown and those raids. I want to begin with a simple question. Should we be even surprised?
Absolutely not, Ridhima. And CNN News 18, especially your channel, has been at the forefront of discussing PFI when everyone was ignoring the threat, when even some political opposition parties were giving it cover fire. Nevertheless, we need to understand what the PFI is all about. We can always say that it needs to be banned as an organization. That's one conclusive end we all are looking for. But we need to understand that the ideology that fuels it is complemented by the data you just presented, by Hawala links, by the funding links, as Afghanistan. That drives this ideology. Now, you can draw it from the regions, you can draw it from the religion, you can draw it from anywhere. But PFI, by virtue of ideology, is a very driven, very calculated organization. So the lone wolf terror attacks are no longer a surprise. The targets being the BJP and the RSS are no longer a surprise. My worry is that we need to also get at the bottom of their funding. Now, the links are coming out in the open. That's very good. But we need to also establish the links, how this foreign money is coming to India, who are the homegrown actors that are backing the PFI by money. Because the oxygen to this ideology, to this radical, violent ideology, is money at the end of the day. And they are in the war against the Indian state. Ridhima, a lot of time what happens is that the political opposition doesn't understand that the PFI is not with war against the ED, NIA, RSS or the BJP. It's in war against the Indian state. And the first victims for the PFI, or who they imagine to be, is the BJP and the RSS. So the political opposition person needs to take some mature. Number two, as the leadership of the PFI arrested today, it's detained, the cases will start, the investigations will follow. My worry is that the cadre is so ideologically radicalized, they will engage in lone wolf terror attacks that may not require the same skill of money or may not require the same skill of training. That is what the police departments in various states, the investigating agencies need to be prepared to. This is no longer a political problem, it's a national security problem and must be dealt with as such.
Correct. I agree with the point that Tushar is making. And Vikram Singh, I want to bring you in because many of these sleeper cells are already activated. The funding is already in place. So possibly these lone wolf attacks won't be very difficult to carry out. And as I said when I started the show, what is their modus operandi? These are almost very similar to Fidayeen attacks. So if they're ready to die for whatever cause they believe, they won't care two hoots about the lives that go in the near vicinity around them as well. Vikram Singh? Okay, we seem to have lost that connection with him. But Sushant, let me take that question to you. Shouldn't that be now the bigger worry, considering the fact there is already funding in place, these sleeper cells are activated, and that is what we should be now cracking?
That should have been the worry a long time back, but now I think that matter is coming to a head. Look, number one, I think the terminology we use, we need to be very clear about. Don't call it a lone wolf attack. A lone wolf attack, this is anything but a lone wolf attack, because this is part of a well thought out, terror, in a sense, terror retaliation or terror, action by these guys. This is not something.
Sure, go ahead, Sushant, we can hear you.
Okay, so this is not something which is happening out of the blue. This is something which has been already planned and is going to be executed. Number one. Number two, the fear really is going to be that if the PFI now, and we've seen this in the past, that organizations like the PFI, they keep coming up unmolested, and the moment the law enforcement machinery starts cracking down on them, they go on full-on terrorism, right? Something like that might be happening in this case. We've seen it in the Punjab. We might be seeing the first stirrings of that in Punjab even now. We've seen it in other parts of the country. And at the moment the crackdown starts, the terrorism actually takes off. that is a possibility that you cannot ignore. The third possibility is, and I think the likelihood of that is going to only increase, that a whole lot of people, partly because of the way this whole climate has been created, of the people in the PFI being hounded, being hunted, that entire calumny of charges which are being leveled, that this grave miscarriage of justice is taking place, that this is a very peaceful organization.
Correct.
These are Mahatma Gandhi mullahs of sorts. Nothing of the sort. So I think some of that is also going to feed back into the cadre, and they are, in any case, they've been trained, they've been indoctrinated to be violent.
Yeah.
So we'll see street violence certainly, but I think the more worrisome part is going to be I won't call it terror. I won't call it targeted attack. I would call it terror strikes against individual targets, against organizations, against government institutions, and I think that is something we need to worry about. So we need to brace for that, and we need to keep the crackdown going on so that we can limit the potential of these guys to carry out that kind of carnage in this country. But I think we need to be braced for that. That is pretty much on the card.
I think Sushant is making a very fair point that we need to now brace for it. And I want to bring you in here. Taking on from what Sushant is saying, that if we need to brace for it in terms of, because of the rampant radicalization in terms of the cadre already on the ground, then fair to say incidents like what took place on Friday were only a precursor and it will only get worse in days to come?
Hello, can you repeat please? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I was essentially trying to understand if the radicalization on the ground is so rampant as far as the cadre is concerned. And we heard, a dhamki also today being put out, though that, video needs to be verified as well. But because the radicalization is so rampant, they feel they're fighting for a cause. Then what we saw play out on Friday, was it just a precursor and should we prepare ourselves for worse?
Right, radicalization is so rampant, but I think we should not exaggerate that as well. Even if you read the PFI document, their vision of 2047, they have said if 10% of Indian Muslim will back them up, it would be easier for them to execute their plan. So that means PFI themselves accept that even 10% of Indian Muslim don't support them. So we should not make a generalized comment here. Also, I want to say that this is not about a terror attack kind of problem in front of India, but it is more than that. Their goal is mass mobilization. They are looking for something more sinister here. They are looking for the civil war here, and their establishment of grievance is not that there is a Hindutva government or something like that. They even don't accept any secular government of India. It's clearly mentioned in their document that after the British government, Muslims are marginalized in India and Hindus have been favored in India. So you can clearly see the modus operandi of the typical Islamist outlet here, where they established that Muslims are oppressed anyhow unless they are the one who rules, who have a power in the government. So that's how they are operating, and I think we should, without generalizing, should be very brutal and honest, critical, and should acknowledge the problem, but we should not generalize here.
But who will be honest and brutal? Who will actually come out and call out a spade? Because we still have a lobby which continues to back the likes of PFI, saying they're actually a very peaceful outfit and they're being painted with a brush just to show them for radicalized activities. But I believe Vikram Singh is now back with us. Vikram Singh, I have two concerns. One, as Sushant was earlier pointing out, as far as cracking the nexus on the sleeper cells, that should have already happened by now. But because the rampant radicalization on the ground is for all of us to see, what is the guarantee that even if we see a ban on PFI debate, which has been going on for years now, it will not see another shape and form? Because that was the same concern as far as Simi was also concerned. And then look what happened.
Ridhima, I would share the concern and the apprehension of Mr. Sushant Shireen, and I wish I could share the optimism of respected Amina ji. The fact of the matter is that the ground reality that we looked the other way and swept the problem underneath the carpet. For the first time, when the PFI was brought on the radar of all DGPs was in the DGPs conference 2011 September, when all the DGs were informed that Kerala has the cadres of the PFI training their youths into unarmed combat and use of weapons, and also manufacture of weapons as also explosives. We looked the other way. We did not allow them. And even today, the shameless manner in which people are defending Pakistan Zindabad slogans, people defending the sleeper cells, people saying that this protest was nothing but legitimate and democratic display of their democratic rights and democratic protest. If vandalizing public property, attacking policemen and government officials is legitimate, then I really don't know what illegitimate is. Now coming down to brass tacks, the concern of Mr. Sushantji. We allowed this boil to fester for no fewer than 12 years. Today it has become terminal cancer. And if it is today, it calls for a major surgery. And that major surgery is ban PFI. And don't ban just the outfit. Identify every single person of the cadre, get the biometrics, Aadhaar and PAN card, so that he does not play in any other team, because they already have an escape route and ready to go and migrate into other outfits, as in the case of Ansars of Sini, who migrated to Indian Mujahideen and then to the PFI. Let us not allow the grass to grow underneath our feet. Then the sleeper cells. Then the funding. Ridhima, have you ever heard of funding of 125 crores in the bank accounts and 125 from crowd funding? This is unprecedented in the history of India. You name the problem that we had in the last 7 years, whether it is anti-CA agitation, whether it was the Delhi riots, the Bengaluru riots, the hijab controversy, you name, and the bottom line happens to be the PFI. Therefore, we have to put our act together. We have done it in the past. We have seen situations much worse than this. But a resolute nation must be together to fight this menace. Hindus and Muslims have to come together to fight this. Let us not make the mistake that it is the fight only of one community. It is the fight of a resolute nation against a gang of outfits, criminals and anti-national elements.
But it's also not just about the funding and the links that we're tracing back to, say, the Middle East and Pakistan. The problem is equally as far as the local logistical support that is being provided as well. Emma Dayas, as per the last data, there are as many as 27 cases just in Kerala alone. Even when the Bihar module was busted, the same links were found. How are we seeing this emerge as a pattern in areas like Kerala, borders of Tamil Nadu and Kerala?
You see, PFI has been in operation for last many years. As I know, unless somebody corrects me, I don't see that there was any activity which we call as in terror activity on their part. Well, they have been saying that, or they have been doing some welfare activities. That's of course known, but there is not even a single incident where we say that they have resorted to any terror activity.
So this is exactly why I asked you this question. Let me just give you some data. Because you said this, it's exactly where I wanted to give you some data. I have some criminal records of PFI leaders. Let me first begin with Abdul Rahman. He is the PFI National Chairman, ex-SIMI National Secretary, accused of running funding nexus in the Middle East. Abdul Hamid, PFI State Secretary, ex-SIMI State Secretary, accused of planning attacks on political and religious outfits, accused of establishing arms training camps. Mohammad Saqib, PFI National Executive Member, accused of masterminding Hawala operations, also linked to Pak terror groups to fund sleeper cells. Abu Bakr, ex-PFI Chairman, accused of spearheading propaganda operations. Do you want me to continue?
No, my point of telling is that so far there is not an, where we call that they have resorted to any terror activity. So far as funding is concerned, well, the funding, if at all it is there, that needs to be seen. As to why the funding has come, where from it's coming, that of course needs to be seen, and agencies must be active on that. And also that is also to be seen, whatever data you have just shared, that also is to be seen, that what is that going to, where they are going to use it. Well, we can't say we need to support any such activity, and I don't think anybody will defend them on this account, nor they represent Muslims also. If that outfit that is doing anything which is called to be illegal, well, law should take its own course, and but it should not look that just because that being a Muslim organization, they are being targeted.
Sir, to be fair, with so much evidence also, if we still have guests like you on these panels, who come out and still defend it and want to still give some sort of an opportunity to outfits like PFI, then how do we come together to fight an issue which is not just a state issue or a political issue, but an issue of national security? Tushar, this is where I want to bring you in. You have people like Ahmed Ayaz saying there are no criminal records. What is the evidence?
No, Mr. Ayaz. Mr. Ayaz, my problem is that the four people on this panel and Ridhima are together. You surprisingly are not. You are saying that PFI is not a terror organization. Please tell me, in 2013, which was that organization that was nabbed by the Kerala police in Kannur for having weapons, for preparing bombs, for giving terror, training? Which was that organization? It was PFI. Which was that organization that hailed Osama bin Laden as a martyr? That was PFI. The organization has been indulging in violent protests. It's saying that we are going to target RSS and BJP workers, and you are saying the PFI is being targeted only because it's a Muslim organization. Are there no other Muslim political parties in India? From Kashmir to Kerala, there are. From Gujarat to Assam, there are enough Muslim political parties. But are any of them targeted like the PFI? No, they are not. Are any of them engaging in activities in which the PFI does? No, they are not. So please do not make this about Hindus and Muslims. And Ridhima, I want to repeat that the PFI is in a war against the Indian states. And Mr. Ayaz, the Indian state also means Indian Muslims, the moderate Muslims who the PFI will come for. So please do not make it about Hindu and Muslim and try to dilute the seriousness of the threat which the PFI poses to the national security at this point.
Ahmed Ayaz, I'll quickly let you respond and then I want to go back to the other questions.
I will make just a small response.
Sure.
I never said that there must not be somebody criminal in it. I never said so. I said there had not been any terror activity which could be seen that they have done it.
What was happening in 2013 in Kerala, sir?
There may be criminal.
2013 in Kerala.
If it is 13,
are preparing bombs, not terrorist
now
activities.
we are in 2022.
Sir,
well,
the members of the PFI are hurling petrol bombs. That is not a terror activity as per you. Mr. Ayaz, the members of the PFI hurled petrol bombs.
That is exactly why I said, when I began the show, that this is not the time for mollycoddling. This is the time for calling a spade.
You are quoting a 9 years old.
No. I just put out that evidence because you asked me for evidence, but I have to, I'm running out of time as well. Sushant, this is the question that I was trying to get an answer from Ahmed Ayaz. Why is there a pattern as far as these activities and protests and arrests are concerned from a specific part of the country? Today you had BJP President JP Nadda also hitting out at the Kerala government, saying that Kerala is actually now becoming a hotbed as far as activities of the PFI are concerned. Why is this becoming a pattern? As I said, Bihar module is busted, links are traced back to Kerala, border of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. You see protests as far as CA is concerned, the same routes are traced back. Why is that happening?
No, it's happening because Kerala has become, it is the hub of the activity of these guys, and they have launched off from Kerala and have extended into other parts of the country. Now, for the gentleman out here to say that, it's being targeted because it's a Muslim organization, one of the oldest Muslim party in Kerala is the Indian Union Muslim League. Has anybody ever said that the IUML has been a terrorist organization or involved in terrorism? I might have problems with the IUML and its ideology.
Sure.
But has anybody ever said that it's a terrorist organization, right? So, this is the kind of covering fire these gentlemen gave out here without realizing, Ridhima, and I'll make two very quick points.
Sure.
Number one, it's not just the guys whom these fellows will target, because there will be a pushback. And when the pushback happens, it will tarnish a lot of people in the Muslim community, even people who are not involved with these characters. Now, it is, and I agree with what Tushar is saying, this is not just a Hindu versus Muslim issue. This is a national issue, and people who believe in the Indian nation must stand together against a group like this. Number one. Number two, the tragedy of this country is that we have memories of goldfish. We do not learn from the mistakes we have made in the past. We have politicians who are saying that what's wrong with PFI? There is nothing wrong with PFI. There was this clown in Bihar who said something like this. Now, little realizing that when this terrorism takes over, people like him are also going to be targeted.
Correct. When it
If
takes
he
the form
thinks that
of a
he's going to
sinister
be
plot,
safe,
then what really is the end game? That's something that we all need to worry about. I'm afraid I've completely run out of time. I appreciate all our guests taking out the time and joining us here on CNN News 18. We are slipping into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. Our other debate is coming up shortly.